It's always going to be Firefly. Joss Whedon's spacefaring, Han Solo-inspired romp with all sorts of scavenging and trading and all that type jazz. To be honest, I haven't thought about Firefly in a while, but whenever anyone ever says what TV show, in any sort of those conversations, what do you miss, what do you gutted, went away? Firefly, because it was cancelled for me in its prime, even though the ratings weren't there. And I never really looked into the real reason why it failed. I think retroactively, it works extremely well. A lot more people know Joss Whedon now. Obviously, at the time it was Buffy and all that kind of thing, but I think if you went back to that show, it holds up really well, and I'd still totally recommend it. But yeah, it was severed like after I think 15 episodes, and they eventually brought the cast back and did Serenity in 2005, which was like the real ending of the show. Like Whedon was like, here's all the scripts I was meant to get around to, made a lovely old movie out of it, and I love that movie too. But it's always going to be Firefly, just for the cast and the acting and the world that he started to build with the whole, Earth as we know it coming together to create this universal language and this whole future of resources being exhausted, and all this crazy dudes called the Reavers who were out there to get whatever they could, and they were all insane and feral, and it led to some good action scenes, and I just miss every single second of it. So Firefly, yeah.
Deadwood! Any further questions? No, like Deadwood was like the most not of its time TV show I think I can ever remember seeing, because it was so dirty and visceral and didn't really care about being entertaining. It just wanted to show you how horrible the Old West was. And it was sort of based on a real town that existed. And two of the main characters, played by Ian McShane and the guy from Die Hard 4, were based on real people as well. And the sort of dynamic between them was really, really good. And it was a disgusting show. Like, it was absolutely horrible. It was muddy and bleak and miserable and horrible. But it wove such a compelling narrative, because you knew from history that at some point the two main characters were gonna come to blows, one of them was gonna die, and the town was gonna burn down like it did in real life. And then they cancelled it right before that happened. And so, like, it's not like the people who wrote it were like, oh, we've got this great idea for what we're going to do later on. It's like, this is recorded history. This is what you're building up to. The whole thing about Deadwood was, you like, in the background, this place burns to the ground at some point, and that's going to be amazing. And I kind of gone. Now, I got told this maybe doesn't count because they're going to do the film. They're going to Serenity it, and like all the stuff they didn't get a chance to do, they're going to put in this film, apparently, which I think is a cop-out. I don't think you get to do that unless you're Veronica Mars. But if I have to pick another one that counts and fits all the rules, True Calling with Eliza Dushku. True Calling. She worked in a morgue, right? The whole gimmick was she worked in a morgue, but when these bodies came in, they would talk to her and tell her like, oh, this thing happened, I shouldn't have died, and then she'd suddenly be transported back in time, and using the stuff they told her would try and avert their death. But the only other person who was aware of all this was the Grim Reaper. He used to try and banter her off every week.
Was it the same Grim Reaper from Bill and Ted?
It sadly wasn't, but based on the same character, I believe, of the Grim Reaper. It was basically like Quantum Leap, but with no actual scientific explanation given for why Eliza Dushku was keep jumping back in time to save all these people. It had miles to go, True Calling, in my opinion, and where is Eliza Dushku these days?
The cancelled TV show that I really miss is Hannibal, because it was fantastic.
I forgot about Hannibal.
Oh, it was so good. Like, it was the most artistic, like, visceral sort of series you could get that told the Hannibal story so intensely and was just like a joy to watch. Even if it was about a man like eating people's organs and stuff, it was just like done so well.
They loved each other.
They loved each other. It was so sweet. So it went for 3 seasons and it was great, but it got cancelled after those because it wasn't getting enough views and there wasn't enough funding, and basically they just couldn't be asked with it anymore, which was the wrong decision to make. Because season 4, Brian Fuller had gone on about how he had plans to bring in Clarice Starling and make it all the proper Silence of the Lambs piece to this whole Hannibal story, so it would have been fantastic. And there was all this lobbying to try and get it back, and all these people who should have taken it on and saved it, but they did not. And it is gone. And there's nothing quite like it on television, and there won't be for a while. So that's the one that I miss the most, and I think that should come back because it's just fantastic. Like, more hot desserts, please. More recipes for liver.
Well, it's got to be, for me, The Big Bang Theory. Are we ever going to find out if Sheldon does the science? No, of course not. That's crap. I feel a little bit out of my depth here because everyone's picking sort of classic, well-respected TV shows, and I've picked 2 less well-known British TV shows that aren't really in the same ilk, but I'm going to go for it anyway. The first one I would bring back is Shooting Stars.
Yes!
One of the best comedy shows in BBC comedy history. Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, two just mad bastards doing mad things with a vague quiz show format wrapped around it.
You do that every week in the office?
Exactly. You can see how this is very much brand Wilborn, these two TV shows. Yeah, if you haven't seen it, if you're an American fan of What Culture, go and watch 20 seconds on YouTube, and that's kind of all you need to see. What really pisses me off is they brought it back. They brought it back in sort of the like 2010-ish, around then. They brought it back and then they cancelled it again, which broke my heart a second time, and I only just learned to love again. Yet they keep producing Mrs. Brown's Boys. Objectively, one of the worst TV shows, unless you're 60 and Tory, literally ever. But all right, fair enough. If that has to stay cancelled, the other TV show that immediately popped into my head, another brand Wilborn TV show, is Jonathan Creek. Yes! I knew you'd like this. You can keep your Sherlocks, you can keep your Midsummer Murders. I couldn't think of another murder mystery show.
The Life on Mars.
You can keep all that.
Frost.
Thank you.
Tiger.
Forget all that. Jonathan Creek is the best murder mystery show ever. Alan Davis is a creative consultant to a magician, I think, who just happens to be amazing at solving murders throughout the time. And they're really weird ones. There's like ones where a body's in a basement and then it moves up a flight of stairs. Spoiler alert, it floods and the body rises up the steps. That's how it happens. But there's plenty more to watch regarding that. And it's just such a good story week in and week out. Forget the sort of late Christmas specials, they're a bit crap near the end. But the core period, early Jonathan Creek, is Alan Davis and Caroline Quentin. And it's not just will they solve the murder, it's will they bang? Will they bang and solve how the body moved up the stairs? It's brilliant. Bring it back yesterday. I love both Jonathan Creek and Shooting Stars. I take either, but they really should bring back both.
Well, here's the thing, I've been quite lucky throughout my TV watching career so far. None of the main shows that I've been invested in have been cancelled, with the exception of Freaks and Geeks. Fortunately, this came quite late because when this aired, it was like 1999, 2000, so I was a wee bairn, couldn't connect with the plight of these high schoolers yet. So I rediscovered it when it came on Netflix, I think, not even that long ago, like early 2010s, when everyone else did, and then it became such like a meme. It was essentially just a meme show. It was all over Tumblr, it was all over Twitter. Screen grabs from the show, so I had to find out what the crack was, and then realised it was the thing that was missing from my life. It slotted in to a hole in my chest and gave me purpose. It was so good.
Looked at.
No, it's fine. I've got Freaks and Geeks in there now. It's okay. It's a patchwork. It's fine though. It's an excellent show. It's set in the 1980s, sort of like high school. It features a lot of famous faces just getting their start. You've got like James Franco in there, Jason Segel, and others. Anyway, it's one of those shows that, you know, something like Arrested Development or Heroes or something like that can come back, but you can't bring Freaks and Geeks back. The actors are too beyond their time. It was very of its time itself. It was set specifically in the 1980s. You can't really revisit that, so the hope has never quite been there, but it doesn't make it any easier, and I'm still quite sad. But that season is pretty perfect anyway.
I have loads because I love TV. Ash raised Hannibal earlier on, and I love that show. It's great. I love a lot of nerd crap as well. So there are some like cartoon shows that got cancelled in the late 2000s that kind of made me sad. But now, in my adult years, I miss Community. I miss it so much. I just miss it so much because it was so well written, it was so funny. You had the likes of Donald Glover, Joel McHale back when he was funny, Chevy Chase before he was cancelled. You had all of them, and it was just a great time. Seasons 1 and 2, 2 more so. 3 was really good as well. We don't talk about 4. But you know, it's just a shame because it ended in what many would consider to be a very, very sad place, but it was also kind of really good because they all kind of realized we can't really keep this show going because all our actors are growing up. Like Donald Glover was going on to do Childish Gambino and then basically being awesome in every film that he's in. And they all just kind of like shared a hug at the end and like just kind of accepted that they're never going to come back together, but there's still hope. Still hope that they come back for like a movie, you know, hashtag 6 seasons in a movie. But I think at this point in time, I just have to accept that Community was there in my life for a certain amount of time, and you know what? It enriched all our lives. So you know what? Bring it in. Come on, bring it in, guys. Let's go. There we go. Let's look.
I'm legit gay.
It's too much hairspray.
No, there's not enough.
Oh, there we go. That's good.